Prof later on. But joining me to discuss more about the issue of brain drain, especially within the health sector, is Professor Francis Omaswa, Executive Director, Center for Global Health and Social Transformation. Good evening, Professor, and welcome to Prime News Live. According to the Ministry of Health and the statistics that I have, there are 701 supposedly about 701 doctors in the country as of now, and many of these are going abroad. What is causing this trend, and can it be reversed?
Well, actually, according to the register, there are more than 700. Okay. The register has got over 5,000 doctors registered in Uganda. But out of those, maybe the 700 are those who are in public employment. But the others, as the story says, we do not know, we are not clear about where they are. This is because we have not kept records of inflows, how many are going into training, how many are graduating, how many are going into employment, and how many are retiring or leaving the country. We actually, as a country, need to start to have very detailed health workforce information systems so that the country is informed, first of all, what are the needs for Uganda of different cadres of health workers. And then once we know the need, how are we going to train them? Where are we going to deploy them? What incentives are we going to give them to stay where they are most needed? So our data on health workforce still needs a lot of work.
What is the major reason as to why doctors are going abroad and letting go of employment in Uganda? Is it because that we have so many doctors and so little health facilities, or is it because of money, or is it just sheer wanting to have the feel of working abroad?
Well, the main point is that there is a huge global shortage of health workers. It is estimated right now that globally there are maybe about 6 million health workers who are needed but not available. And the reason for this, there's several reasons, but the key reason is that in the developed countries, people are living longer. They need more care because with their older age, they are sick from this disease, from the other one. And then also we, from developing countries, we have not trained enough. And then secondly, we have also been invaded by a set of new diseases which we did not have before. HIV is one of the new ones. It goes together with tuberculosis. We have non-communicable diseases like diabetes, for example, is just mushrooming all over the place. You know, 10, 20 years ago, we probably had less than half of the cases whom we have now. Cardiovascular diseases, hearts, high blood pressure, stroke, all those are coming in as permanent causes of illness and death in developing countries. So there is a huge shortage. So the rich countries who are able to pay are sucking health workers from the developing countries. And fortunately, WHO went into this in a big way and ended up creating and adopting a code on the international recruitment of health personnel to help regulate and coordinate the movement of health workers around the world. That code is available. It's available to Uganda as well, and Uganda should start to think to use it.
We are training so many health workers in this country, and the fact that we are having them going abroad and succeeding means our training facilities are good. Maybe not so perfect, but then they are good. So how can Uganda gain from the exchange that we are doing of our brains abroad, or do we even gain from it?
Yes. In general terms, Ugandan health workers are well trained. They are very popular outside Uganda. And if you go like to Southern Africa or even Europe, North America, the moment you say that you are from Uganda, you are from Makerere, they are just there wanting to get hold of you. However, you asked me before why Ugandan health workers are migrating. I've given you one side of the story, that's the pull factor. But also here we have issues. My organization did a study about 3 years ago. We tracked doctors from 3 years of graduation, from Makerere, from Mbarara, from Gulu. And we found that getting into the Uganda public service, particularly with the local governments, is a nightmare for many of these doctors. Okay. It can take you up to maybe 2-3 years to find a job. They all have to advertise. They can advertise together in Mubende and Kisoro. You apply to both places. They give you a job in both. You only select one. Then they have to advertise again. So getting into the employment is unnecessarily cumbersome. Also, after you get into the service, just getting on the payroll is also an issue. It can take up to half a year for you get on the payroll. So with all those frustrations and with the opportunities abroad, well, what am I doing here? Why should I not be going to a place where I can get on the payroll tomorrow and earn even better money?
Is it possible for this country to gain from, first and foremost, the education system, the training system of health practitioners, and even the exchange that we are doing? Is it possible for us to get something out of that?
Well, I really would like to commend Uganda, the Uganda government, to look into using the WHO code for negotiating with other countries to recruit Ugandan health workers in a coordinated way. We had the case of Trinidad and Tobago trying to get, is it 300 Ugandans to go there? There was a big uproar which was not informed. The people who were making the noise were not aware that there is a code which regulates partnerships between countries, and that code enables the country which is exporting to gain and the country which is importing the doctors also to support the country. So that code, that Trinidad and Tobago thing should come back again on the table and be managed under the ambit of the code. Because as you've just told me, there are Ugandan health workers who are not employed and who are not in government and cannot even get into government. Some of them have retired because of age, and some of them, for those reasons which I have given you, are not in employment. So I would commend Uganda.
It would be better for them to go abroad then?
It's not better for them to go abroad, but they should be able to go abroad if they wish.
Now, do we see this trend being reversed for us to have our own doctors born and bred here, working here and actually adding on to this grappling health sector? Because it is not, it is public knowledge that we have a grappling health sector.
Well, really, I think most people would not want to migrate unless there are frustrations, there are push factors and pull factors. So we in Uganda should look at how we can manage the entire health workforce issue in a coordinated manner. That is to say, we should have a national health workforce plan. It is there, but it needs to respond to the country's needs. Our resource envelope, how much money do we have? We should know how many people we are going to employ in the next 5-10 years, depending on how the income is coming from Revenue Authority and so on. And then the people who go into government training institutions should be coordinated so that they meet that need year by year, and that when they qualify, they have jobs to which they can go to straight away. In that way, the desire and the opportunities for people to want to go abroad will be diminished.
Okay. Now we have some other areas, or I don't know how you call them in the medical field, but some areas of the medical practice that have very few practitioners, mostly because these require people to go abroad to actually gain these skills. For example, neurosurgery, talking about cardiologists, things like that. Do you see our health system in this country incorporating into the institutions of education some of these things like neurosurgery and cardiology?
Those they call them super specialties, super specialization. We already have, if you take for example the heart area, that is an area which I have been involved with very closely from the beginning. We now have facilities where young trainees can learn. They need to go abroad, yes, but to refine their skills, but not to do the basic training. So if they do that, then the tendency to stay behind should be less. Instead of going away for 3 or 5 years, they can go away for a year or 2 with jobs here to which they can come to. And the same applies to neurosurgery. There is some work going on already. There are some qualified neurosurgeons who can start to train new ones, and again, they can go away for a limited period of time and be prepared to come back.
Okay.
And all that is part of the planning which I told you about. If there is a good, well-managed plan, then all that should be there in a chart somewhere in the Ministry of Health, knowing year 2, year 3, year 5, year 10, it is going to roll like this.
Well, we do hope they don't perform like the engineers who go for studies and end up working there. Let them come back and give us that knowledge.
We need them, yes.
Thank you very much, Professor Francis Omaswa, for that interesting insight into the whole spectre of health.